ready for a lot of Sharingan shenanigans in this week's episode of Boruto, Naruto Next Generations. Sarada Uchiha is finally reunited with her long-lost father, Sasuke. However, it's not the reunion that she was hoping for. She doesn't get any solid answers, and to make matters worse, her and all of her friends are suddenly attacked by Shin Uchiha, who is now joined by his father, Shin Uchiha. That's right, there are two, maybe even more than three, hell, there could be hundreds of these Shin Uchihas, who have the plan of revitalizing and reviving the Akatsuki. This episode was just plain awesome. It was basically the ultimate reunion of the legendary Sannin. And what I mean by that, of course, is that we finally got to see a reunion between Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. And they have some brand new enemies in the form of Shin Uchiha and his many sons, who also go by the same name and apparently are some weird long-lost members of the Uchiha clan. Their plan is that they want to revive the Akatsuki organization. For what reason, we're still not quite sure yet, but they plan on getting their hands on as many Sharingan eyes as possible, and they even tried to abduct Sarada in this episode right here, but inadvertently end up taking her mother, Sakura, who made one hell of an epic appearance in this episode where she decided, fuck the hospital, I'm gonna go kick some ninja ass. And she does it in the best Sakura way possible, by causing lots of destruction with one big, massive punch. This episode right here was pretty damn great and totally felt like a classic episode of the Naruto anime series. What I also really love about it is that it's very high on the drama. Typically, I'm not really caring about this type of stuff, but seeing it unfold in the anime version, I have to say, actually has me at the edge of my seat. That and the fact that you just feel so bad for Sarada. She's just been reunited with her father, who decides to throw a sword right at her face, which ends up getting stuck in the wall, and Sasuke can even barely recognize his very own daughter. It's such a sad moment, and all she wants are some answers. What's the deal with her mother? Who's the weird red-headed woman in this picture? And Sasuke does not really handle things with a lot of tact. He actually ends up telling his daughter the reason that he's been gone so long and the picture of this woman. It really has nothing to do with her at all. He could have worded this a lot better, because basically Sarada takes this as Sasuke dismissing his daughter and his family, and she runs off in a fit of rage and emotion, and that leaves both Naruto and Sasuke there trying to wonder how they're going to handle this entire situation. By the way, I loved the little subtle moment here, how they were able to basically metaphorically show Sasuke and Naruto at where they are at in the series, in the worlds that they actually represent. What I mean by that is there's this great conversation between the two characters, where Sasuke's on the left, Naruto's on the right, with Naruto being illuminated by all the light from outside, and Sasuke, of course, hiding in the darkness, which is something that he certainly excels at, as after the defeat of Kaguya, he's been going on this journey and going to the underground and underworld of the Naruto world, trying to find any threat which could be just as destructive as Kaguya herself. While all of this is going on, however, the villains of this arc are plotting their attack, and that brings us to Shin Uchiha, who is the leader of this brand new startup Akatsuki group, and he is freaky looking as hell. He's completely bald, he has no teeth, he's got Sharingan eyes embedded all over his body. Very similar to what we saw from Danzo in Naruto Shippuden, where he had the Sharingan eyes all over his arms. Shin Uchiha has them everywhere, on his head, on his arms, they're probably on his ass too, and this allows him to utilize a number of really destructive and awesome abilities. I also love the weird little detail of his one eye being completely open, because it's forced to be open with these staples which are embedded into his head, which I'm guessing is what allows him to use like an unlimited amount of Mangekyo Sharingan techniques without really having to worry about anything. He is forcibly keeping his eye open, and that with his bald-headed look with no teeth and Sharingan eyes all over, frankly just makes him look like one hell of a creepy bastard and one of the most unique villains that we've seen from the series thus far. And when he actually makes his formal appearance in this episode and decides to attack both Naruto and Sasuke and Sarada from appearing from the portal, man, it's just plain awesome, and it leads to probably one of the coolest scenes that I've seen from the Boruto anime series. Shin Uchiha, just like the other Shin Uchiha, seems to have the ability to manipulate weapons and can do that in a number of different ways. And there is a stipulation behind this technique. He actually has to mark or touch a weapon in order to manipulate it and freely move it around in the air. And when he actually starts attacking both Naruto and Sasuke, he's actually throwing all of these knives all over the place. They're super destructive and crazy. Naruto is able to block this, of course, because he uses Kurama, who comes up and envelops both him and Sarada as well. And that's when Sasuke comes out and starts acting like a badass, attacking Shin immediately with his sword, and even using his Rinnegan abilities to switch places with the other Shin Uchiha. That's when he decides to hit both of them point-blank range with a big fireball technique, which ends up frying them all. But the older father version Shin Uchiha actually utilizes a Sharingan technique to force his son to take the brunt of all of the attack, which completely burns him up and presumably almost kills him. Basically, he's using his weird sons as human meat shields. This is already letting you know that this guy is someone you don't want to fuck with, and he seems to have no care for human life whatsoever. All that matters to him are his goals. And Sasuke decides to go on the attack again, utilizing his sword, when suddenly that sword leaves his hands and impales Naruto out of nowhere. At first, this is really shocking and you're wondering how this all went down, but when they finally reveal Shin Uchiha's abilities, it starts to make sense. Because when Sasuke was on the attack, he tried to hit him with his sword, but Shin just ended up grabbing the blade, and while he was doing this, he was actually marking it with the weird seals that were on his hands, which allowed him to manipulate the weapon and to stab Naruto. And this was a really smart move, as it makes sense that a sword would actually be able to hurt Naruto in this situation, as any sort of chakra-based technique probably wasn't going to make it through Kurama's shield, but if he was able to somehow manipulate a real-world weapon without any chakra infused into it like that sword, well, that pretty much answers your question how he was able to hurt him. But of course, it ends up not really doing too much of anything, because Sakura decides to show up and she punches the fuck out of Shin. I mean, this scene is classic Sakura, and frankly, I loved it. Especially because in the first half of the episode, she's going through this whole pity party with Shizune, who's hanging out with her at the hospital, and she feels that there's nothing that she can do. She needs to tell her more about everything that's been going on in Sarada's past, and like the badass ninja that she is, she decides to skip town and go kick some frickin' Sharingan ass. And that's what she does in this episode. And getting to see Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura together again in this time skip series is just surreal. Like, it shouldn't seem surreal because we see these characters together all the time, but this is like the first point after like the very end of the series that we see them all together, working together, and it just sent goosebumps down my entire arm. I really love this moment. As a hardcore Naruto fan, I totally dug it. Now, the episode ended with Shin and his son seemingly being defeated, but of course they use that weird little creature to teleport both themselves away, as well as to try and kidnap Sarada Uchiha, who ends up switching places with Sakura, and she ends up getting taken directly to their base, ending this week's episode knowing that Naruto, Sasuke, Sarada, and Chocho are going to have to go and save Sakura. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? This episode was solid as hell. I mean, it wasn't anything too groundbreaking or anything, but just getting to see Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura hanging out again and working together is just great. I also really loved the reunion between Sakura and Sasuke as well, because at first you almost expect them to start embracing each other, hugging, kissing, really loving each other. But Sakura truly proved that she is an incredibly caring mother, as when she finally sees Sasuke again after all this time, she walks right past him and immediately goes to her daughter to give her a hug, ensuring her and letting her know that she's so glad that she's safe. This was a really tender moment for her, and then getting to see her go back over to Sasuke and reunite with Naruto was really great. The sword didn't do shit to Naruto, by the way. He immediately heals thanks to the power of Kurama, much to the shock of Sarada and Chocho. Chocho, again, was also pretty funny in this episode. She's mostly played for laughs. The fact that she still believes that Sasuke Uchiha is her father, which is totally just not the case at all. And she tries to help out the best way she can, which is just a bunch of fucking potato chips. That's how Chocho operates, and it never ceases to at least get a couple of smiles out of me. There are also a few other important scenes in here, mostly flashback sequences of Naruto and Sasuke, who are discussing how they're going to go about and do things their very own way, with Naruto basically being the face of the village and Sasuke going out into the world and trying to go after all of these evil people, while at the same time, Naruto begs Sasuke to stay behind and at least tell his daughter everything that's going on, but according to Sasuke, he says if he does this, it's just going to cause a lot of unnecessary anxiety, and he's willing to accept the fact that his daughter might hate him if it leads to a more peaceful world. It's pretty interesting here, although I have to say that after this arc is over, I have a feeling that Sasuke is going to be a little bit more of a family man and more attentive to his wife and his daughter when he realizes how much danger they were actually in this episode right here. Shin Uchiha is definitely the thing I think a lot of people are going to be talking about the most, as he's someone who does want to revive the Akatsuki. It is confirmed he is wearing one of those classic Akatsuki cloaks in this episode, the ones that are black with all of the red clouds. That with his overall design is just awesome. I'm always like a sucker for cool looking villains, but he's so creepy with his eyeballs all over his head, them being able to move around and utilize all those cool techniques, and the fact that he can freely manipulate weapons. There's a scene where he like sucks up all of these like blades and knives up into his sleeves, and it's like, how many can he even freaking keep in there? He's like a living human clown car. It's really damn strange, and the fact that he can just touch an object or a weapon and be able to freely manipulate it really does speak to his skills as a Sharingan user. And that's saying a lot considering that he went up against Sasuke, who not only has the Sharingan, but the freaking Rinnegan as well. And I was glad that he was able to utilize both of those signature techniques in this episode, in a scene which just felt plain classic. It was awesome, and this was an awesome episode of Boruto, which you must definitely check out. It's filled to the brim with a lot of emotion at the beginning of the episode, especially getting to see Sarada just so heartbroken of seeing her father and realizing that her father doesn't even recognize her, and the fact that he comes across as very cold. You know that Sasuke means well for his daughter, he's just not very good at communicating that. And you almost want to like jump into the screen and like smack him in the head and be like, no, say something different, your daughter is right there. And at the same time, Sarada's also not being truly accepting of everything that's going on. She's taking everything at face value and just running away. Even after Naruto tries to console her and reassure her that Sasuke is a great ninja and he's doing great things, she still hasn't truly accepted everything that is going on here. Although, when she finally does see her mother arrive at the end of the episode, you can definitely see that she's starting to warm up a little bit more, especially when she actually sees her mother and father interacting with one another. You can see there's like this weird light bulb moment going on in her head where she's like, you know what? Those are my parents, and I really do care about them. The problem is, before she even can express that, all the villains come out and just start to cause all types of crazy shit. Also, I thought it was pretty crazy that with that teleportation jutsu, they could actually like cut right through Kurama's arms. That was a pretty useful technique. Naruto was about to take both of the shins away, but when that weird little creature came out and used that teleportation technique, there was nothing they could do to actually stop it. It's pretty obvious that these type of teleportation techniques that we've seen in the series are very powerful. It's also worth noting that they are damn near the same as the ones that were used by Obito in the original series, so maybe there's some sort of connection there. There could be a connection to the Akatsuki, but as we all know, for those who read the manga, we really do know where Shin Uchiha came from, and they're going to get into that in the next couple of episodes, and I have to say that they are moving through this arc at a lightning pace. I did not expect them to go this fast, and honestly, I appreciate it, because every episode has had a lot of weight behind it, and it's felt important. Not a single episode has felt like it wasn't good to watch, and it wasn't just wasting time. This is how you properly do an arc in this series, and frankly, it's pretty damn good. So check it out, Boruto fans. As a score for this episode right here, well, I really liked this one, although I have to admit there were a few scenes that could have looked a little better, but for the most part, the action was on point, the drama was on point, and there were just a lot of really great classic moments that made this an awesome episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations. And hilariously enough, Boruto has nothing to do with this arc whatsoever, but again, that speaks to the incredible side characters of the series, and I'd be remiss again if I even said that Sasuke and Sakura were side characters. They're practically the main characters from the first half of the series, and getting to see them come back definitely made this a great episode. So there it is, that's my thoughts this week. I really liked it, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about this week's episode of Boruto Naruto Next Generations? What are your theories about Shin Uchiha and where he came from? Why does he want to revive the Akatsuki? What do you think of his overall design design and unique abilities, and what do you want to see from the rest of the Naruto Gaiden arc in the Boruto anime series? Thank you all again for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Boruto and anime-related stuff. Make sure to take your shuriken and throw it right towards that like button. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with all of your friends. Thank you all again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay damn, baby.